Well, I'm walking in dog shit. I'm walking in doggy shit. If there's a pile out in the yard, I'll never miss. I'm walking in some dog shit. I'd really love to quit. But if I'm barefoot, socks, or Crocs, I'm stepping in some dog shit. Hey, y'all, I just stepped in some dog shit. Again. And I found the culprits. It's the dogs. It's the dogs that do it. I've seen them do it. Both of them do it. And I've seen them actually do it. Now, the big white one there, he don't do it all over the yard, all crazy like. Now he'll go out behind that building right there, and he'll do his business back there along the fence. Is where he's always done it. Now, that other thing over there, that right there, I call him livestock, because he's just like a big old cow that just stands in your way all the time. He'll just stand there in your way, and I think there's three of him. Because if he's on my left side and I boot him out of the way and I turn around, then he's right on my right side. And then I boot him out of the way, he's over on my left side again. So I think he can multiply like a gremlin sometimes. And he, like I said, he just stands in your way. He lays these turds all over the yard. That's what he does. Strategically. He does it on purpose. I know he does. See, my son brought that dog home from a coworker, and he said, I got me a basset hound. And I looked at him and I said, son, that ain't a basset hound right there. That ain't a basset hound. That's a full-grown hound dog you got. That's some sort of a bloodhound or something like that. That's a hound dog. That's not a basset hound. You're confused. Now, I've seen basset hounds before, son. I used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard. That's what I did. And there was a dog on there named Flash. And that was a basset hound. And he was so short, his little short-legged thing, he couldn't run. He couldn't. His ears would drag the ground. His jowls would drag the ground. That dog just laid around is all he done. Every now and then he'd howl and he'd bark. That's all he did. Lazy dog. That's a basset hound. That thing you brought home right there is some sort of hyperactive, brain-damaged hound dog is what that is. That's what that is. And he's a menace to society is what he is. He antagonizes the big white dog all the time. I had tripwires. I had anchors, wires all around that swimming pool while I was attempting to put it together because the slightest breeze would just blow it over. So I had strings and I had straps tied to cinder blocks. I had anchors in the ground all the way around this thing. And that goofy animal right there would not miss a single one of them. He ran into every dang one of them. I thought he was going to drag the swimming pool down several times. But he's the one. He lays landmines all over the place for me. Just walking in dog shit. Hey, that's what that Leon Musk feller's doing for us. He's making us all walk in dog shit together. That's what we're doing. We're all walking in dog shit. That's what we're doing because of Leon and Doge. Doggy. But anyway, that dog right there will lay mines all over the yard, and I think he does it strategically. He'll put them right there out inside that gate right there for me to step in every time I walk in there. I picked up a turd just a few minutes ago. I ain't gonna lie to you. Y'all know I can't see worth a dang, and I was pulling roots out the ground because them things were sharp, man. And I'm walking on barefooted on dog turds, y'all. What I'm doing because them Crocs don't do nothing. I had Crocs on earlier. They ain't worth nothing. They just trap the sand in there. They don't. Anyway, I'm using a grout trowel with the ridges, the grooves on it to get underneath the dirt and cut the roots out because them things will stab you in your feet. And I felt something down there. I thought it was a stick. It wasn't. It was a turd. It was a wet one too. Stinky turd. I don't know where it came from because the dog ain't been out all day. But anyway, so that dog's the one that lays all the mines. The white one, wherever he went. Now he's the one that digs giant holes. Ooh, there's one right there. Holes all over the place. Big holes, y'all. Big ones. And I know what it is. He thinks, well, he's a snow dog, y'all. He's like Siberian Husky and some sort of wolf hybrid, something other. That's Obi, by the way, the white one. But he digs these giant holes, and I found one just a few days ago, and I didn't see it. I stepped right off in the thing, and I didn't think I was ever going to stop falling, y'all. And eventually I did. I felt a Chinaman tickling my feet, and I jumped back out the hole real quick, but that thing was monstrous. It was a cavern. And so I spent the next 30 minutes filling that sucker in because I couldn't find the dirt that he took out of the hole. Couldn't find the dirt. I don't know what he does with it. I can't figure out how he gets the dirt out of the hole to begin with, because it's deep. And I mean, I've pondered it for a long time. He must get down there and kick the dirt to his back feet and then kick the dirt out of the hole with his back feet. But he gets down in there now. So anyway, that's the problem there with these dogs. Big holes and big turds all over the place. And anyway, so finally got all this stuff back in order, I guess. I got the decks back in over there. I got to pick one up, the one on the end. I've got to pick it up, put on jack stands on this end so I can crawl underneath the thing and level the block in the middle, because I didn't get it level, so there's a hump in it. Don't set right. But hey, look, if you ever decide to get one of them swimming pools right there, I got advice for you. Don't. Or if you do, assemble it inside on a good flat ground in a controlled environment. Do that and then carry that sucker outside and set it on the ground. That's the best thing to do, because the way these things are constructed, the way they tell you to put them together, you need perfect conditions. I mean, it's a little old flimsy little track, 18-foot track, that giant pool wall, all 56 feet of it. You have to slide it through that flimsy little track that sits in about a 3/8 of an inch deep groove. And I knew when we started sliding that thing that track wasn't going to stay where it was supposed to stay. There wasn't no way. And I was right. I was right. See, because it only weighs about 3 pounds, that wall weighs about 250 pounds. So I figured, you know, it ain't going to stay. It didn't. We was sliding it now. I got me and my wife, Missy, and my brother and his girlfriend was over here. And eventually my dad showed up, and he helped us finish getting the thing together. But we didn't do it with the way the instructions. We stopped sliding. Let's put it that way. We stopped trying to slide it through the groove, because that was just falling out everywhere. The slightest little breeze would just cave in one side. It was horrible, is what I'm telling you. It was horrible. And it took us a while. Hey, by the way, over here where the pumps and all this stuff is, I was inside the pool while we were doing that, and I've got that little ground cover underneath the liner and underneath the pool there, and we were inside doing some things, trying to hold walls up, trying to keep walls from falling and assembling things. Well, a little breeze came through, and it blew that wall over there by the privacy fence, just blew it over, because we didn't have the top rails, the big top rails on it. You don't do that until last. So you snap these flimsy little sub rails on there, and that don't do much. So it blew that whole side over. So I kind of panicked. I had 2 chairs set up, and metal folding chairs right there, and I had one inside the pool, one outside the pool. That way I could step up on that chair and I could just straddle the top of that swimming pool right there and step over to the next chair. Well, when that breeze come and it blew that wall down, I kind of freaked out, and I went and started grabbing straps and strings and anchors and that I already had pre-staged sitting there in case I needed them, and to go ahead and get out of the pool. I had to step over the wall to get out, and so I stepped up in the chair. Now my brother's blind just like I am. We got the same thing, and I stepped up in the chair, and I went to step over to the other side, and he was sitting in that chair that I was going to go step in right there. And he said, I'm sitting here, hold on, let me move. It was too late. It was too late, y'all. I was already in motion. You know what I mean? I was going where I was going to go. That's what I'm saying. I already had a leg over there, and my gonads was already dragging on the top of that pool. So I knew that I was about to come crashing down, balls first, straight on top of that thing right there and crush the whole side of that pool. So I made an executive decision, and I just bailed. I jumped head first out of the pool, straight over here towards all them blocks and rocks over here by the shed. I lunged straight towards them, head first, and I did. I landed on my head, my shoulder, all that. It was NFL style, let's put it that way. It was pretty impressive. Now, whenever I went to jump out of the pool, I actually kicked the chair that I was standing on inside out of the way, so I didn't make it all the way. I did still come down on top of the pool and just wiped it out, crushed it right down to the ground, and I went head first and shoulder first all down there. But I jumped up immediately and said, I'm all right, y'all. I'm okay. But I was very, very, very upset about bending the pool all up. But it did straighten itself out all right once we got water in it and the skimmer and all hooked up, because that's where I did it at, right over where the skimmer's at. That's the most horrible place I could have did it, and that's where I did it. But anyway, we did do that. I did do that. But we wound up getting it together and all that. We wound up having to just, assemble that track on the bottom in place underneath it. There was no slide. Hush, hush. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. See, the hound dog antagonizes the white dog. Now, he is white, y'all. I swear he is. He is. Whenever he's clean for a day or so, he's white. He just don't stay that way. Yeah, that's Obie, and that's Hank. Hank's the goofy one right there. But anyway, we did manage to get together, and it turned out pretty good. Now, by the way, we did. Me and my wife Missy, now we spent a long time leveling dirt, all that. Now, if y'all remember a week ago, if you go watch that video that I did, real life with Blackboot, I was back here working. I had an old deck that was rotten. I cut it up into pieces with a sawzall, and then I was burning it and burning it and burning. I burned it a lot. I burned a lot, is what I'm telling you. And I separated the wet pieces that wasn't never going to burn out, and I was burning all the dry pieces. And me and my wife Missy was out here last Wednesday, I think, Wednesday night, and we were having us a good time. We was burning wood, hanging out together, burning the wood, getting it all done, And she said, "Be careful there, don't set the grass on fire." And I said, "Well, I want to set the grass on fire. That's what I want to do, because we're going to put a swimming pool right there, and I'd rather set the grass on fire than I had pull roots out of the ground for a week. So let's set the grass on fire." So then we started setting the grass on fire. We went running around finding all the charcoal lighter fluid around the house that we could find, and we found 2-3 bottles of it. We went to start burning, half bottles here and there, and we went to start just spraying it on the ground a little bit, catching on fire with a stick, and just watch it burn. Just burn out, burn little patches at a time is what we was doing, and it was working great. But we ran out of lighter fluid, and that was bad. We was having a good time. We ran out of lighter fluid, so I was thinking. I said, "Well, wait a minute. I've got something better than that. There's 5 gallons of gas around front." Then there was, and it's over there on the porch right now. So I started to go ahead and we cut a lighter fluid bottle in half and used it as a cup, and I'd just pour a little bit of gas in it, and I'd stand way back and I'd throw it over the burn barrel and just let it catch the grass on fire all around the burn barrel right there, and then we'd spread it out a little more, and just kept doing that, just whoosh, whoosh. That's what I was doing. I was whooshing. Anyway, we were doing that. We was making progress, but then we heard a siren pull up at the front. It was a fire truck. I just stepped in another dog turd. It was a fire truck, lights, siren. It did the whole thing. And so my wife walks out front, and they said, "We understand you got a fire going back there." And she said, "Yes, we do, and it's contained in a barrel." And they said, "Okay, that's all we need to know," and they left. Well, I suspect I know who that was that did that. They did it. They did it. Hey, and they're real religious folk, real churchy. I think he thought that we was having some sort of satanic rituals, y'all. I think he thought we was doing some satanic stuff back here, because the very next day, we was back here working. Leveling stones is what we were doing. Leveling pavers for that thing to sit on. That's a whole different story. And he flew his drone over the backyard. Over and then back over again real slow. So he wanted to see what we were doing. I think he thought we was doing some satanic stuff back here. We wasn't. We just burning our grass. That's all we do. Like normal folks, setting our lawn on fire. That's what we were doing. Okay, so anyway, the pavers there, we did do that. Now, I had that swimming pool sitting up front under my carport, sitting on a pallet in a giant box. It weighed 300 something pounds, and I had it there for, I don't know, a couple of months. I didn't need it. I wasn't ready to put it up. I was using it to put scrap wood on top of and stuff as I was building cabinets. And so I never even opened it up. So whenever I decided to come back here and start putting this pool up, I asked my wife, I said, "How many of those vertical supports does it have around that swimming pool?" And she goes, "I don't know." she got up on the interwebs and she went and looked it up. She goes, that's the swimming pool we bought right there, 18 foot, right there. There's a picture of it. She counted them. There were 14 of them supports on there. And I said, okay, that's all I need to know. And I went and did all the geometries and the mathematicals on there and the science and the wizardry, and I calculated it all up. And I was like, each one of them's got to be 4.05 feet apart. So I put a stake in the ground where we want the center of the pool to be, and I went and measured out 9-foot radius, and I started walking in a circle and laying out those stones every 4.05 feet. Now, I promise you they weren't 4.05, but they were 4 something. They were right where they needed to be, 14 of them. So then we start unboxing the pool and getting the instructions out. It only had 12. It only has 12. And I said, oh, you said it had 14. She said, it did in the picture, but so she went back and looked at it, and they were showing a 21-foot pool, not the 18-foot pool that we bought. So be real careful, y'all. Hey, it would have been a good idea had I opened the box and read the instructions. That's probably what I should have did. So we had to go around and relay all of those pavers going around. I did it with a string level and strings and all this stuff. And so the next time around, I just used a 6-foot carpenter's level and went to one of the pavers, and I started there, and we went in a circle, and I went and dug up stones, re-leveled them with a 1-foot level, east, west, north, south, did all that, and then we got our height right, and then we moved on to the next one. All 12. Well, we got 10 done, and we was noticing that circle, that little track that we had laid out there, it looked small. It didn't look like no 18-foot swimming pool. I was like, that looks like a 17-foot swimming pool. That don't look like 18 feet, and it ain't lining up with our stones. So we was having to move our stones to match the track, and I said, none of this seems right. Well, we had about 2 stones left to lay, and Missy happened to look underneath that ground cover right there. Just happened to flip it up, and a piece of that track was laying there. We never even installed it. It was laying there hiding the whole time. So she went ahead and snapped that in, and it did in fact make it an 18-foot circle when it did that. She dang sure did. Made it an 18-foot pool all of a sudden. And guess what? All those patio pavers that we just leveled again, they didn't line up. They didn't line up. So we spent the next 2 hours out here digging up pavers and re-leveling them all again. Anyway, if you ever do that, open your box before you start laying pavers and deciding your layout and how many of these things you're going to set your supports on if you decide to do that. I don't even think it's necessary, but it made me feel better. Anyway, so we did get it all in. It's full of water, as you can see. I shocked it. Spent yesterday putting swimming pool pumps and salt generator, all that stuff hooked up to it. So got to start adding salt once we get everything balanced in it. But anyway, y'all, like I said, if you ever do one of these swimming pools, and some of you probably already have, and you decided, yep, I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to do that again. You're probably what you told yourself. I'm never going to do that again. That was horrible. There's got to be a better way to build swimming pools. There's got to be. But anyway, we got it all done. I got a bunch of yard work done back here. I still got some leveling and more Obie's holes to dig over there. He's got another one huge over there by the fence. But then it's back inside to work on some cabinets again. Once I get some more materials, I still hadn't saved up. I gotta save up. So I gotta get more materials, do that, and I found out I don't have to do a water pump on the Challenger. I don't have to. It's I got my dad over here, and we got us a listening stick, piece of PVC pipe, 1/2-inch CPVC, and where he could see to stick it down there and stick it to all the spinny components down there, all the accessories, you know. And we stuck it to the water pump, and it was real quiet, you know. We stuck it to all the other spinny devices and stuff, quiet, but we put it on an idler pulley, and that thing was noisy. And I was like, that's good right there, because I can take that water pump and all that antifreeze right on back and buy me an idler pulley, and it's right there, one bolt, and loosen the belt. And so that's what I'm gonna do. Tomorrow's plan, I got to clean up my carpentry mess around front and put in a idler pulley, and then wash that nasty thing, because it's pollen season and I hate that car to be dirty. So anyway, y'all, I figured I'd give y'all an update on what's going on. I'm just walking in some dog shit. Just walking in some doggy shit. If there's a pile out in the yard, I'll never miss. I'm just walking in some dog shit. I'd really love to quit. But if I'm barefoot, socks, or Crocs, I'm stepping in some doggy shit. Which is what we're all doing with the Doges right now. Leon Musk. We're just walking in some dog shit together, y'all. Inmate Trump.